An amazing day to all. This is Teacher Dan Rogayan, and welcome to another episode of our letter view drill as part of our preparation for a science majorship this March 2025 licensure examination for professional teachers. So let me first share my screen. So for this episode, we will be rationalizing another 10 items for inorganic chemistry. So this is our review drill number 12. So again, samahan po ninyo ako sa sagot ng ating 10 items for this area in your science majorship. Bahagi ito ng ating paghahanda sa inyong nalalapit na board exam. And remember, our goal to pass and even top the board licensure examination for professional teachers. And let's all manifest and claim that you will all pass the board exam. Okay? So I hope you have your pen and paper with you. So simulan na po natin, ano? But before that, let me reiterate our learning outcomes for this episode. So our review focus will be on chemistry, particularly in organic chemistry. We have two learning outcomes: distinguish the three states of matter and the types of mixture, and secondly, manifest understanding of chemical formula and chemical reactions. This is based on the enhanced table of specifications for released by PRC in 2022. Okay, so I think everybody's ready for item number one. Which of the following correctly describes the properties of solids? A, indefinite shape and volume. B, definite shape and volume. C, indefinite shape but definite volume. Or letter D, definite shape but indefinite volume. So we're looking at the properties of solids. And when we talk about solids, what's your answer here? Future top notchers. Okay. So of course, that's definite shape and volume. It has definite shape, definite volume, and definite mass. Okay. As you can see here in our data retrieval chart, so we have here the property of solids, liquids, and gases. So in terms of volume, solids have definite volume also in liquid, and while gases have no definite volume. In terms of solid, it has definite shape, liquid has indefinite shape, and gases has indefinite shape as well. In terms of intermolecular force strength, so the solids are strong, liquids are moderate, and gases have weak intermolecular force or intermolecular strength. Okay? For compressibility, solids are very slight, liquids are slight, while gases have high compressibility. For density, solids are high, liquids are moderate, while gases are low. Well, for particular movement, no free movement, fixed in position. Liquids have free movement but still attracted to each other, while gases have free movement but with random position. Have random possessions. Okay, so these are our three major states of matter. Item number two, which of the following statements about gases is true? A, they have a fixed shape but not a fixed volume. B, they have a fixed volume but not a fixed shape. C, they have neither a fixed shape nor a fixed volume. Or letter D, they have a fixed shape and a fixed volume. So what's your answer here? Future top notcher. So we just discussed no earlier that gases have neither a fixed shape nor a fixed volume. So they have indefinite shape and indefinite volume. So you can see that gases no definite shape and take shapes of the container and no fixed volume. So in terms of particle arrangement, gases are far apart and can move. Now they moving rapidly and freely, and examples of which are of course the air, oxygen, and nitrogen. No, as compared to the shape with definite shape and definite volume, while liquids have no definite shape but with definite volume. Okay. Item number three, which state of matter consists of ionized particles and is found in stars? A, solid, B, liquid, C, gas, or letter D, plasma. So what is your answer? So when we talk about ionized particles found in stars, of course, this is a basic question. That's correct. It's letter D, plasma, the fourth state of matter. Okay, very hot state of matter. So you can see here the different state of matter. Okay, so we have the solid, has a definite shape and volume due to closely packed particles with strong intermolecular forces. So examples are ice, metal, and diamond. We also have liquid, definite volume, but takes the shape of its container. Particles are loosely packed and can flow, like water, our excellent solvent, oil, and mercury. For gas, it has neither a definite shape nor volume. Particles move freely and expand to fill any container. Examples are oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. And when we talk about the most abundant element in our atmosphere, we're talking about nitrogen. And nitrogen is at 78%. Okay? Plasma consists of ionized gas with free electrons and charged particles. It occurs at extremely high temperatures. This include our sun, lightning, and neon signs. And the fifth state of matter, the Bose-Einstein condensate, or the BEC, a state of matter formed at temperatures close to absolute zero where particles act as a single quantum entity. So examples are supercooled rubidium atoms, helium at near absolute zero. Okay? So here you can see that in terms of energy from low to highest energy, we have the Bose-Einstein condensate, the solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Item number 4, which process describes the transition from a solid to a gas without passing through the liquid phase? All right. So that's solid to gas. Is it sublimation, condensation, deposition, or evaporation? So what phase transition is that? Solid to gas. What's your answer? That's correct. It's sublimation. Sublimation is a phase transition from solid to gas without passing through the liquid phase. So example of this is of course our mothball or the naphthalene ball, and also our frozen carbon dioxide or dry ice. Okay, so you can see here the different phase transitions among the states of matter. No, so from solid to liquid, of course, that's melting. Solid to gas, that's sublimation, as we previously discussed. Liquid to solid, we have freezing. Liquid to gas is vaporization or evaporation, which is the first step in our water cycle or hydrologic cycle. Then we also have gas to solid, that's deposition. Say, for example, the water vapor, then it will be transformed into solid like hail, sleet, or snow. Then that is deposit or deposition. Okay, so the root word here is deposit. So gas to liquid is condensation, another step in our hydrologic cycle. Gas to plasma is ionization, no? Ion is charged atom, right? Then plasma to gas, that's recombination or otherwise known as deionization. Okay? So these are phase transitions of our states of matter, which are all physical changes. Okay? Number 5, which of the following is an example of a heterogeneous mixture? A, salt water, B, air, C, sugar solution, and letter D, sand and iron filings. So what is your answer, future top notchers? Okay. All right. So, of course, our answer here is that's correct. No, it's actually what? Sand and iron filing. So this is an example of a heterogeneous mixture. So the rest are homogeneous mixture like salt water, air, and sugar solution. Remember, salt water is also known as the brine solution, which is a type of solution. Sand and iron filings is a heterogeneous mixture which can be categorized as a suspension since we can see it through our naked eye. Okay, so here we have the types of mixture solution or the homogeneous mixture, a mixture in which the composition is uniform throughout and the different components cannot be distinguished. So example of this is salt water, air, and vinegar. We also have suspension, a mixture in which the composition is not uniform and different components are visibly distinct, like oil in water, sand and iron filings, and fruit salad. Okay? While colloid is a mixture where microscopic particles are evenly dispersed but do not settle. So they exhibits what we call the Tyndall effect. So just in case it will be asked in the majorship exam, Tyndall effects exhibited by the colloid. So examples are milk, fog, gelatin, and whipped cream. All right, item number 6. What does the subscript in a chemical formula indicate? A, the number of atoms of each element in a molecule. B, the charge of the ion. C, the state of matter or the compound. Or letter D, the atomic number of the element. Okay, so when we talk about the subscript in a chemical formula, this indicates what? All right, that's correct. The number of atoms of each element in a molecule, right? So if, for example, no, you have here the subscript. So if this in this particular element, it has two hydrogen atoms. However, it has coefficient of 2, so we have to multiply. So 2 times 2, that's 4 hydrogen atoms. So in this example, what's the subscript? That's 2. So the number of atoms of oxygen here is 2. So we have 2 oxygen atoms. Okay. In this case, same, no? It has 2 times 2, 4 hydrogen atoms. Then this one is oxygen 1 times 2, 2 oxygen atoms. So this is actually a chemical equation, written representation of chemical reaction. And in the chemical reaction, you can see that, okay, before the arrow or at the left of the arrow, you can find the reactants. After the arrow or at the right of the reaction, we have the products or reactants and the products. And this one, this arrow is what we call the reaction arrow. So we have here the chemical formula that states of matter like liquid, gas, and another gas here. And you can see the coefficients, no, here where you need to multiply the subscript, no? Subscript of that particular element. So least reactants on the left side of the reaction arrow and products on the right side. Okay? So next item, item number 7. What is the correct chemical formula for aluminum sulfate? AAl2SO43, BAlSO4, CAl2SO3, DAlSO42. So what's your answer? Okay. So for the chemical formula, aluminum sulfate, that's correct. Al2SO43. So that is the correct answer. Okay. All right. So here aluminum forms a positive 3 charge, while sulfate ion carries a negative 2 charge. So we have to crisscross. So take the absolute value of the charge on aluminum and write it as a subscript of the sulfate. And we'll take the absolute value of the charge on sulfate and write it as a subscript of the aluminum. So we have Al2 in parentheses SO4 then 3, which is a neutral compound. Okay. Item number 8, which type of colloidal system involves a solid dispersed in a liquid? Okay. A, aerosol, B, emulsion, C, gel, sorry for that. C, gel, D, salt. Okay. So what is your answer here? No? Type of colloidal system which involves a solid dispersed in a liquid. That is correct. That is letter D. It's salt. Okay? Salt is the answer. Solid dispersed in a liquid. So when we talk about aerosol, a colloidal system where liquid or solid particles are dispersed naman in a gas, like for example, the smoke and the fag, no? Emulsion, on the other hand, is both the dispersed phase and the dispersion medium are liquid. So that's emulsion, like milk and mayonnaise. For gel, a liquid is dispersed in a solid, creating a semi-solid structure like the jelly and gelatin, while the sol is a colloidal system where solid particles are dispersed in a liquid like paint, ink, and blood. Okay, so to elaborate on what the difference between dispersed phase, no, and the dispersion medium. So here we are. For dispersed phase, the colloidal particles that are distributed throughout another substance. So these particles do not settle and remain suspended. So this is also known as the internal phase. Now, example, the solid particles in sol, liquid droplets in emulsion. Okay. All right, so for a while, please. Okay, I'll pause All right, sorry about that. I need to attend to an important matter. Anyway, so yeah, as I mentioned, for dispersed phase, so we have solid particles and salt, then liquid droplets and emulsion. Then for dispersion medium, the continuous phase in which the dispersed phase is spread, it determines the physical state of the colloid. Now, this is also known as the external phase. So example are liquid in sol and gas in aerosol. Okay, so these are some types. Actually, the types of colloid. So we have solid in a liquid, okay, medium. So paints, fruits, jellies, gels, and dyes are examples. Solid sol are actually solid in a solid medium, like alloys, gemstones, ruby, and glass. Solid aerosol are solid dispersed in a gas, okay. Smoke, dust and air, bacteria and air. Emulsion are liquid dispersed in a liquid, like mayo, milk, salad dressing, and cream. Solid emulsion is liquid dispersed in solid like butter and cheese. Liquid aerosol are liquid dispersed in gas, okay, like fog, mist, cloud sprays. Foam, gas, dispersed in a liquid like beer froths, soap suds, and whipped cream. And lastly, solid foam, which is a gas dispersed in a solid like the pumice, marshmallow, and merengue, diba? Yan. So these are some of the colloids that you can find, no? Just in case no matanong ito sa board exam. Okay? So item number 9, Tyndall effect is used to differentiate between A, colloids and suspensions, B, solutions and suspensions, C, colloids and true solutions, D, homogeneous and heterogeneous mixture. So remember that Tyndall effect is being exhibited by colloids, and this is actually used to differentiate between colloids and true solutions. So letter C is the correct answer. Okay, so colloids scatter light due to their particle size, while true solutions do not. And the Tyndall effect is primarily used to differentiate these two types. So it was first discovered by and is named after the Irish physicist John Tyndall. Okay. Question item number 10. So this is our last item, which of the following oxides exhibits amphoteric behavior? A, Na2O, B, carbon dioxide, C, zinc oxide, D, SO3. Okay. So what is that? Of course, this is zinc oxide. So letter C is zinc oxide. So amphoteric behavior refers to the ability of a substance to act as either an acid, proton donor, or a base, like proton acceptor, depending on the chemical environment. So this dual nature allows amphoteric substances to participate in both acidic and basic reactions, so making them crucial in chemical equilibria, buffering systems in various industrial and biological processes. Okay, so water, H2O, is a classic example of an amphoteric substance because it can behave as an acid by donating a proton and forming hydroxide ion, or a base by accepting a proton and forming a hydronium ion, or H3O plus. Okay, so that is water, our excellent solvent. So sodium oxide, no, Na2O, is a basic oxide, reacts with acids but not with bases. Carbon dioxide is acidic oxide, reacts with bases to form carbonates but does not react with acids. While the zinc oxide is amphoteric oxide, which can react both acids and bases. While sulfur trioxide, SO3, acidic oxide, reacts with water to form sulfuric acid but does not react with bases in an amphoteric manner. All right, so I think that ends our drill for inorganic chemistry. So laban, papasa tayo, no? Patuloy po tayong mag-review, maganda para sa ating board exam, and always check and go back to our salient and fundamental concepts in science. So till our next video, maraming salamat po uh, in for your words of affirmation and appreciation. No? I am reading all your comments, and patuloy po tayong magtiwala na maipapasa natin at maitatap natin ang board exam. So you can actually watch the previous videos in our YouTube channel, Teacher Dan Ragayan. So once again, maraming salamat until our next video.